Is that preferred over Magneto when those pick bans come in? But here, you don't need to worry about it much. We have seen a lot of like Lunar Snow, Loki, mirror matchups coming out, so the sustain has been there. But I am curious to see what kind of bans, what kind of characters are going to be taken out here from both sides, because that could be a great tell going into Ignite.
All right, we've been talking up Virtus Pro. Let's see if they do deliver. Idris Path is going to be our first map here, Ryan. And Idris Path over the last couple of months really has become the trading ground of 3-3 merchants. 3 vanguards, 3 strategists often seems to be one of the primary defensive bastions, mostly popularized over by Envy in North America.
For sure, yeah. And I think when it comes to like places where these key fights happen, for the attacking side, which is going to be Qadsiah first, it's like coming out of the gates flying, try to take as much space, try to get Virtus Pro away from that S shape, just that little bit of high ground that they can perch up on. But I guess more notably, that second point, that horseshoe of going all the way around, if you can get through there uncontested pretty much as the attacking side, it's such an advantage, because if you lose that payload at any point there, it feels insurmountable to try and retake it back. But key characters taken out early. Jean Grey Phoenix has been the one that I haven't really had much of a chance to cast, but her stock rate, I suppose, has been absolutely soaring.
Yeah, when you come into like this level of gameplay and you have people who are incredibly clean with the animation cancels, you're like, oh, just get on top of Phoenix, and you know what, like you could just dive on top of her, overwhelm her. No, it doesn't work so well when you're going up against a top tier animation canceller whose DPS gets even better when you go into close range. Next Protect gonna come on through. I like that the Emma Frost has been taken out here by Virtus Pro. Despite having some very adept Vanguard players, it definitely felt like their spike in power, their most dominant time was before Emma Frost and her Carbon Crush was dominating the Vanguard meta. And it means that Nevix and Fincy can really leverage their
Invisible
flexibility.
Woman Protect. Are they just more worried that other strategists are going to be taken off the table? Or because you're not going to have that synergy with Human Torch. He's out, and he's out for both sides, as we keep saying. So we're not going to see any Mantis available, no Emma Frost, no Loki. And Psylocke's going to be protected. So you do have that team up available for both these sides. The Invisible Woman Protect is weird, though, because I feel like there's so many better options, unless they're picking up Mr. Fantastic or the Thing. I doubt it.
Yeah, maybe... Maybe there's a world where this allows Nevix to play the Thing, potentially, and have that Fantastic Force team up. Also, big shout out to our Qadsiah here. Baller move to protect Psylocke against Virtus Pro. when you're going up against Sparker, you're like, nah. I'd win in the Psylocke duel. Like, Ballas here, that's a brave maneuver, and I respect it.
It's pretty much a balanced approach, I think, with all of the Vanguards as well, but gonna have a quick little fly around before we get into game in this one. Qadsiah attacking Virtus Pro. I have a statement to make.
Three Vanguards, 3 strategists here, Ryan. Virtus Pro looking to stay meaty and beefy on the cart to stop it rolling forward.
And Fee actually being on the Doctor Strange just allowed for like fast teleports, I suppose, to be getting into these engagements quickly, because I think one thing that Virtus Pro has mastered over time is just knowing like any amount of stall, any seconds bought on his defense could go a very long way. A bit of Moon Knight spam as well coming out from Tilt to just get that ank down, push people back a little bit. But Virtus Pro playing a very high line here.
Yeah, Qadsiah with the damage boost for the entire team as well off the back of Ballas Storm is going to allow for incredibly fast ult generation from Tilt. That was an aggressive use of a Cloak of Levitation from Fire, so the disengagement options are going to be limited. Fire's going to be looking to, at least if they do fall first, have the remainder of their team fall on the cart so we can all teleport back as a singular unit.
Yeah, even the Rocket Raccoon Vera back, just sustain, making sure that there's as many fights that can happen here. And even though you've got a couple of picks being traded out, it feels that Virtus Pro have just got such a forward hold on this one. It's hard really for Qadsiah to gain any momentum off the back of it. I mean, the objective has moved 5 meters at most, and a minute on the clock has been bought up.
Snapping a little room on the right is being absolutely brutal. Fight just runs down Palace, and even without that storm, Qadsiah thinks there's an opening to try and play with here, and so the invisible boundary is drawn on up. Moon Knight ultimate on top. The strangling prison is brutal for Fi and Finzi, but now Virtus.pro are just going to try and reset on the cart. They'll probably TP back as a unit.
Amplifier is available for Sparker, people can group up, and then Entangling Prison is very close for Nevix, but he goes down. I guess they just want to go for a clean reset. Fi does have the teleporter available, so this should be a good chance to have another fight at least, maybe even 2 if this could go well, but it's where they take this engagement. Paul's going to go up onto the high ground, so they're going to try and drop down and catch Qadsiah out.
Yeah, instantly going over towards the cart, halting that momentum, trying to get potentially a 3rd fight if they do end up losing this one. And now Qadsiah cede away a little bit of ground to get their bearings once again with how this fight is going to be managed. Virtus.pro have essentially 6 ultimates ready to go, so there's a huge amount of power racing in their hands in towards the back. 2 players already stunned. That Lynch got stunned out of the Eternal Bond. Perfect timing from the Agamotto there from 5. It's heading towards the back here with the Omega Hurricane. Cyber has to bring up the invisible boundary in response to that to deal with some of the damage. 3 stuns coming through from an Eye of Agamotto. Price can be drawn back by the Battle Recall Beacon and instantly reinforced as well. So the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier allowing for Ballast to easily be found up in the air. And now Qadsiah have ran out of momentum with Virtus.pro's retake complete.
It's starting to make a lot more sense why that Invisible Woman was protected from Virtus.pro. When you've got both groups out, that Entangling Prison, it's just a brute force. But also teams have been getting very good at shutting down these Eternal Bonds from Cloak and Daggers, just being able to CC them out from getting multiple stacks in. So Qadsiah, not really enough done, I think, movement-wise over on this objective. They have a lot of brute force ultimates to make some space. The Entangling Prison is going to be the first one to go. The wall's making it hard, and the synergy with that Hand of Khonshu allows some ticks, but not enough. This payload is not going anywhere.
Yeah, all in onto Fine means that it's all in on the res as well from Trigger, bringing back their Doctor Strange for Sorcerer Supreme back on the field. And, well, there they are again. They are going to be put on back, I imagine, by the Battle Rebirth Beacon. Fi just moving in and out of the realms of heaven and hell, ready to be met by Angela. That's so many players inside of a strangling prison, and yet there seems to be more than enough here to try and defend them. Maybe a shield was erected in the way of the Meteor M in the back. Fine, and just a stun up 4. It's absolutely brutal, but a shield in their way for Seraphim protect for stunned members whose souls were separated from bodies. Fi could be overwhelmed into a back. Milkboy doesn't get anything. A quick pushback with the force visit from Cypher was enough to peel for the remainder of Virtus.pro as the Bears stand strong for now.
There's 20 seconds left, and now the Storm Ultimate going to be just thrown on top of Point. I think everything at this rate is just going to be thrown on top of Point. There is another Hand of Khonshu. It's just whether this can string together at this rate. Fi and might have another portal ready to go, and the Entangling Prison combo is there yet again. Really just a dunk on Finzi, push it back as much as possible. I don't know if Virtus.pro are going to have a clean engage to stop this one here.
I felt like that felt kind of personal onto Finzi right there, but it might well mean that Virtus.pro's re-engage is going to be a little bit scuffed. Indeed, it is instantly vulnerable and executed. Finzi taken down, and knockout delivered. Milkboy starting to absolutely dominate on this point. Avaim can quickly come back and get the last contest inside of the invisible boundary. Sidepace taken down. The ultimate is cancelled, but Dreedra, the hero with the karmic revival, is making sure that all the karma's going the way of the Bears for now. There's so much sustainability throughout Qadsiah there inside the Eternal. Stuns once again from Fi, but a counter from Milkboy gets just as many. The souls are separated. Corporeal forms are punished, but Ballast can't get away from the daggers of Denak. They're spewed from the hands of a Sorcerer Supreme, and despite Qadsiah's best attempts, they are scuppered in the final meter of their offense.
It's just Virtus.pro giving themselves enough leeway to have those fights consistently happen. And even though we don't have like the Loki Lunar Snow just copying the fate of both worlds over and over again to keep those fights going, you could tell how much of a focus it was to just brute force, kitchen sink style with some of these ultimates to get some progression, right? With the Storm, with the likes of the Moon Knight that was played pretty much the entirety. Maybe beforehand we saw him for like the start of an objective or like a minute or some strange portal play. That might be one of the first few times that we've seen Moon Knight just in its entirety in a full round, right?
Yeah, the Moon Knight Merchants, they are a feasting today, and of course he's going to get buffed going into Season 4 with a second charge of that Crescent Blade, as well as potentially good synergy with Angela, who has an ultimate that functions vaguely similarly to the Strangling Prison. while also giving her that additional damage output. So maybe there's a world where we could see Moon Knight have a bit of a competitive resurgence, because he was, I think it's fair to say, meta around Season 1 when they had that slightly stronger ultimate, often combined with a Strangling Prison. Groot's been a little bit more out of the meta since we saw Emma Frost come onto the scene due to his ability to easily be bullied by something like a Wolverine or an Emma Frost repositioning him. But when Emma's off the table, this is where Nevix is able to really flex these kind of old head muscles on the group.
Seems to be like the comps have flipped around on the other side just to be that attack defense favored element of like the be right back for Rocket and the Moon Knight to just be able to spam stuff out. But the fact that Kaya's gone down this early on Groot is just really nice for Virtus Pro to keep things going. There's just no way to at least buy more time. You can see Qadsiah trying to jump on the point to not only stall it as much as possible, but go for a quick reset, because this fight has been blisteringly fast.
Fincy's already making moves to try and mess with the teleport re-engage as well that Tilt's going to have. I think the main difference maker there was that Qadsiah, they kind of had worse positioning in their first fight. It felt like they weren't really leveraging the palace on the right-hand side of the cart. Tilt's not actually going to try and TP back. And so Fincy's got to make a decision there here as to how we're going to use their TP. I think they might just be sealing off.
Yeah, there he goes. We didn't see him from their POV.
Well, the Milk Boy has come and definitely has delivered some funny things here. Maluki's already fallen on down to fire. This one seems to be an open and shut case already. As the re-engage will come on through, and there will be an available portal, but I don't think they've got the time, Ryan.
I don't think there's much of a chance here. Virtus Pro just know how to take these engagements, and they're seeing maybe a bit more of a fight able to come through, but it's just been bullied. Hand of Conscience thrown right on top, and whilst Qadsiah are able to stall, it seems to be a little bit too much to ask for. It's delaying the inevitable at best, and Virtus Pro, it's taking a lot more out of them, but it's cleared up nicely. Eventually able to get that first point, take the first map.
Can't believe Fincy just floated slowly through the portal and used the Eye of Agamotto. Don't think they were quite prepared for the Uno reverse there from the Sorcerer Supreme. But Virtus Pro, this is kind of par for the course of what we expect from this team. We expect excellence. There was a long time where the EMEA narrative merchants, brackets me, were saying that this was the best team in the world. And in stage 2 of Ignite, Virtus Pro are going to have a chance to prove it, but it's going to start here and now in MRC.
It is the upper bracket as well, so Qadsiah do have a chance a little bit later on if they do lose this one to keep moving through the losers bracket. It sounds almost mean to be talking about that after one map, but honestly, it is just a case of like Virtus Pro. Usually when we see them in these kind of games, it's always been straight. It doesn't matter the team. It's always been straightforward for them. It's when they get into the really scary games where lots on the line that maybe they start to falter. But I guess you're right. Like the result we sort of expected, maybe the actual heroes that were in play were a little bit more surprising, right? But it's clear to understand exactly why these characters were in play. Just the fact of like being able to stall out the payload, push people off the payload, expecting triple support, stuff like Karmic Revival, keeping the sustain up there, which is a lot easier now since it was buffed. It's just interesting that these were the comps that we saw first.
Remember, for all of our audience watching right now, if you happen to be an aspirant pro, all of the games here in MRC are viewable live in game and as replay, so you can dive back in and watch exactly how it happened from any POV you like. But here in the broadcast, we're just going to stick to the highlights, Ryan, and show off all the things that went down.
Yeah, I mean, I always like these kind of events because not only is it very grassroots that anybody up past a certain rank with a clan can push and play in these games, but it is just feels like a good warm-up to cap off what's been a really good season, but also make us excited for what's to come in the future. And I think that if Virtus Pro keep moving on, like if all of these games, even going up to tomorrow, can be very clinical from them, they're going to be feeling really strong for Ignite. It feels that all of these teams are really using this as a good way to test stuff out. So I'm curious on what the other maps are going to show us.
Yeah, it would be a bit of a confidence boost for Virtus Pro after heartbreakingly missing out on going to Guangzhou. And for Qadsiah, this is kind of playing with house money as well, you know? Like, people don't expect Qadsiah to beat Virtus Pro. They've already had some very impressive showings here in MRC. And they say that losses, although admittedly this is a best of 5 and there is a lot of leg to this series remaining, like losses, especially ones like that on Idris or Path where you kind of got a little bit pantsed by the 3-3, are where you learn the most about not only your weaknesses as a team, but where you can most improve. And getting this out of the way before Ignite for Qadsiah could be like a huge power boost for them if they have like the coaching throughput to try and fix the issues.
Yeah, it feels like at least they're playing Virtus Pro, because some other teams have gone, yeah, nah, we're out. We'll move ourselves to the losers bracket. So yeah, Qadsiah treating this properly, and they are the kind of team that can surprise. It's been said as much behind the scenes, and honestly, it was a good showing from them in like the third-party tournaments earlier this week. So yeah, Virtus Pro, I don't think it's going to be that straightforward for them, but you almost expect them to be the front runners here, and the first map seems to show that.
And you can expect map number 2 after this break.
Hello.
Greetings.
You cannot hurt me. I was merciful. Crawl back to your domain, Hela.
In this timeline, the machines will rule.
Embrace, the doctor has conjured a portal. Ultron is like a plague. We must be the cure. A disappearing act. You are under my spell. Pure chaos!
We are done chasing spiders. We have bigger enemies to conquer. You're ours now. Time to toughen up. We are Venom!
The other guy's been doing a lot of talking for me. You remember old Eddie?
The Bears have awoken from their hibernation, but can Qadsiah whip up a sandstorm to send them scurrying back into their caves? At 1-0, Virtus Pro take the lead in our best of 5 series, Ryan.
Yeah, it's at least a way for Qadsiah to try some stuff out, and now having choice of like map being on the losing side, they want to take us to like Hell's Heaven, a domination map where I wouldn't say that it's been bad for Virtus Pro, but if there was a game mode in particular that you would try to band-aid your way a win, I think it would be domination, because if you can get some clean fights to begin with, you can sort of pinch yourself around or maybe even a full map. So it makes sense why Qadsiah want to go here.
Yeah, domination can be one of those game types where it really can be swingy for a team that might not have as much tactical depth yet, but a lot of fragging power. And now Qadsiah certainly are a team with a huge amount of fragging power. And while they are by no means under-resourced when it comes to their tactical depth, they are going up against Virtus Pro, who have been essentially a 6-person squad for as long as the game has been out. The only real addition that's been made to this team was Fincy, I believe, during maybe at the end of Season 0 before Ignite Stage 1. I think he was added just before the first Marvel Rivals Invitational in EMEA, where previously he was on a team called Niceland. Funnily enough, I believe, with Milk Boy, who's on the other side. I don't know what it is about Iceland as a country, Ryan, but they pump out so many good Vanguard players. Frankie Boxing's from there too.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me salty because of Iceland just having a good record against the United Kingdom and England in various spots.
Don't bring it.
I think Nevix was on that team as well at that point. So, yeah, I think now, again, because it is a different game mode where you're not just fighting on a static objective. I know that sounds dumb because the domination King of the Hill mode is on a static thing, but where you take those fights can be different and you need to be hot on your feet. Also, we did see the Protect from Virtus Pro from Jean Grey Phoenix before, and we never saw it in play, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I guess that maybe...
Or at least briefly.
Maybe Phoenix would have come out like in the later rounds, like on the horseshoe, where the high ground's a little bit more important to try and take. Whereas that first point of Yggdrasil Path was very flat and mostly was down to the Vanguard positional plays, and they weren't hypermobile Vanguards like a Cap and a Venom. It was very, very static, kind of battle linesy. Very like 1700s musket lines kind of combat. But, you know, yeah, where there's a little bit more room for maneuver on Hell's Heaven, we might actually see an off angle be taken by the Phoenix.
We do see common trends. I think pretty much this is a carbon copy pick ban phase up until now, at least, of what it was beforehand. So Virtus Pro, they protected Invisible Woman last time, and then it was Psylocke protected from Qadsiah, who, again, we didn't see available at all. Namor's an interesting one too, though. But I guess it makes sense, again, when you can sort of combine it. You got the Lunar Snow, you got various damage boosts outside of Mantis to just throw down the Horn of Proteus down on some of these fights.
So Namor's interesting as well, because it kind of might force a Hulk ban here. Because you don't want to go up against Phi and Nevix, knowing that they are incredibly comfortable on that duo. Because just because you protect something doesn't mean you need to play it. And generally, it feels like they've read that Qadsiah are going to go for a Psylocke Protect here, which is a very rare boon for Virtus Pro, that they don't have to spend to protect on Sparker's, what some might say, primary hero.
It's pretty much the same pick ban phase. It's just that we don't have that Invisible Woman because, yeah, those fights are going to be moving around a little bit more than being stuck on an objective. But everything's the same. Seems to suit Virtus Pro nicely, I think.
Yeah, looks like a good setup for them. And getting rid of a Cap as well really has been one of the more popular bans here in EMEA, mostly to try and deal with people like Polly, who are just absolute backline marauders. So let's have a quick fly through and see what Hell's Heaven has in store. We finally see the Phoenix in action here, Ryan, and it's going to be able to destroy any deployables in short order. So Kaya's wall is definitely going to be on notice. Same for Nevix going up into the mirror here against Ballas.
And 2-2-2 as well. We're not seeing the triple Vanguard, triple strategist. It's more of a balanced approach as much as you can possibly much it up. Actually, there is three Vanguards over on the side of Qadsiah to try and fight this, and Tilt being the one on the Strange to go for some portal plays, trying to take this space a little bit early on. But Virtus Pro, I'm just going to give it up for free.
Interesting that Qadsiah have actually left the Luna on the table here with their triple Vanguard. Admittedly, with this much meat that's going to be stacking together, you can get some excellent cleaving heals with the Invisible Woman. And Cyber's actually opted for that instead of a Cloak and Dagger as well. So a little bit of a departure from the old meta. Milk Boy under siege at the moment. It feels like even with the lacking health pools for Virtus Pro, they have been able to control a huge amount of this early space. Already the Invisible Boundary has been drawn on up. And that's what you get from playing the Invisible Woman with 3 Vanguards. Unbelievable off generation. And that's allowed them to find the first frag deal and the opening. Here comes the second. It's going to be Kaya falling down at the hands of Fincy. This Iron Volley is really just pushing out so much damage. You can see the splash onto those squishies. That's the dangerous time to be behind the computer console.
It's hard to make Magneto look good. The ultimates are coming out in good fashion. Big explosion coming through. But Qadsiah, it's a bit of a weird fight for them because it feels like they're on the back foot, but they're still engaging in on this, forcing out that fate of both worlds from Dreedro. Meteor M going to try and catch him out, dodging the Phoenix, just flying on down, and catches Dreedro actually in the thick of it.
Yeah, Dreedro just tried to use her rocket jump pack to avoid the incoming double, but the mid-air from Milk Boy, unbelievable. That was such a crazy, just like LeBron was given the ball well and truly for that one.
Yeah, Virtus Pro, this is where damage has been done from against them from various teams too, because now if Qadsiah can keep this gravy train going, you do have another invisible boundary for Maluki, and when you've got an entangling prison for Nevix ready to go, Spark has moved over towards the Wolverine to be a bit more of a threat up against the group on the other side of Kaya. Feels like it's really a case of making sure that Nevix gets no value from this ultimate on group.
All right, Spark on the Wolverine. Kaya definitely in danger for now. The approach might well be stealthy. Good walls put up in the way to try and intercept Spark's approach. Feral Leap, good to go. Grabbing. Oh, even with the invisible boundary. Still going to be a double stun onto both Sparker and Nevix. Neither of whom can be followed up onto very appropriately. The other side have got their own invisible boundary to try and answer this one out. Qadsiah needs to keep one member on the point at all times. It's not going to be Milkwood though. He's been sent elsewhere. Tilt moves on forward. They're going into both the animation cancelling of the Phoenix, and the Wolverine themselves wasn't really much staying power for the Sorcerer Supreme.
Eventually able for Virtus Pro to get on the board. 55% for Qadsiah, so even if they do win an engagement and retake this point, which is going to be hard enough to do in itself, but it's the fact that they would probably have another couple of engagements for Virtus Pro to try and recontest it. But now it's whether you can sort of take a little bit more space, force Qadsiah out some big cooldowns before you even get onto the objective itself. But it's more of a case, I think, of just shutting down Lidstrom, who used to be a Virtus Pro player substitute. He has got the Eternal Bond in hand to maybe make the aggressive play, but you feel like Virtus Pro just sat ready and waiting.
Yeah, having that Fade of First World in the back pocket is always going to be a great backup play as well. And there's not going to be a jump pack this time around, I believe, but you're going to try and dodge the double up. Then shot opens up, everyone trying to get in onto Dreedro. Question is, what will they choose instead? Sparker has earned the personal ire of Milk Boy as Meteor M is dropped on top. Oh, Fincy doesn't need to see. We do it by feel alone over here as the bear strikes down exactly where it's needed. The invisible boundaries, the Venn diagram, the feeling has been drawn on up and the battle lines have been drawn as well, but as the dust settles, it would appear the battlefield is very much in the hands of Virtus Pro.
Pretty much all going to plan when it comes to just following through with the strategy. There's not many better teams, I think. Virtus Pro making no changes from their surprise exit of stage 1. Really wanting to make sure that their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed. The last stand for Sparker might be a last chance for Qadsiah to go and at least fight on this part of the map on Hell's Heaven. It really is just a Kraken's impact for Tilt that's going to be the thing to get going. Everything else is just a good chunk of ult charge away.
Kai already forced use that symbiotic resilience, and now Milkboy might well be isolated here by the constantly erected wall with the hands of Nevix. A mistletoe leap from Spark. It is going to be a missed opportunity. Milkboy might well have actually been able to try and stop it there with their own play. A strangling press in Nevix to try and pull one of the players outside of the area of effect here, but no, they'll stay within the Eternal Bond. So the follow-up may well be lacking still. It's going to be the healers sent elsewhere by the Ironwood wall. Kaya in the back should be easy to burn through. Yet those are those animation cancels I was talking about. Kaya never stood a chance. The Phoenix's end song stands ready, and even while it stands at attention, it feels like it's going to be unnecessary with Virtus.pro already having removed so many of the potential contests from this point.
Another little clip, I suppose, for like Phoenix, for the Reddit investigators to put together and be like, this, sort of J. Jonah Jameson style of like, this girl is a menace. Yeah. So like, because it's just so much value. Now we're actually sort of seeing it in a bit more play. It is just small margins, it feels like. This is one of the things I think that has changed the most, even since the mid-season finals, of just execution on taking down what to do in these certain situations. And Qadsiah are playing this, frankly, because it is a good chance to look back. You sort of said it in the first map of just stuff that they can fix. It almost feels that you have to be very pedantic if you're Qadsiah to work out the issues that you're making, because they're so minor. But that's the difference now between these teams at the top level. And I think Qadsiah is climbing up that tier list, but Virtus.pro might just be sat at the top.
Yeah, Ballas has been a particularly interesting breakout here in MRC. Hadn't really heard of Ballas prior to MRC Season 3. Has definitely put up some very impressive performances against teams that we would consider high tier. Maybe a couple of comms falling through there as a couple of players forgot that Kai was going to TP. Just going to grab the high ground to start with.
Kai sending them through.
Oh, interesting.
Rollouts are plenty. We're seeing a bit more Venom consistently too as well, and so 50% over on the charge too. It means that we are going to see that symbiote come out.
Perfectly executed here by Ballas. If anything, it just made Milkboy's ultimate a little bit superfluous there. The Meteor Ram can't grab too much because the damage had already been done. It was perfect play from Ballas, and once again, Qadsiah win out the first fight, just like on the Frozen Airfield.
I think that's one thing that everybody said about Qadsiah, even going back to stage 1. Granted, there's a couple of like roster changes, but like rollouts, right? Anything that they can actually do server time on to get these executes as swift as possible. You can see just how clean it was in the end. But Virtus.pro just decided to opt out for the fight. That end song is going to come through, not really taking anybody down from Virtus.pro, and in fact, Tilt is the first to re-exit for Qadsiah, and quickly Virtus.pro going to up the ante to try and take this objective.
A little bit of Patty Cake trying to share out that healing, but unfortunately extra players have entered the server inside of that little rumble. There's a little bit too much, and the point can't quite decide where it wants to go after being capped again.
Bit up and down. Now, I mean, this is what the practice is like, okay, in this situation, Virtus.pro have got the point. They've only just got it, so we have a couple more fights. This is what we have. This is what we think they have. How do we go and fight this, especially with both Venoms ready to go in this engagement, to go for these dives? Virtus.pro chipping away at people. Seems they can reset Qadsiah just before they could even go for a clean engagement. But you have to look again at Eternal Bond to be the way to get into this fight and put pressure onto the point.
Already, I think that symbiotic resilience having had to be used there by Kaya, moving in towards the back. That's a huge terror cave, but it means an easy combo for Kaya with the Feast of the Abyss, chewing on metal, chewing on microplastic. Spark heading towards the back. There seems to be a mechanical outplay here onto Maluki, but gets shut out early. She managed to take down. Oh no, she's falling right into the hands of Sparker. A quick stun coming through from the right click of the Phoenix. Now Ballas has Rijo in their sight, instantly pops the personalized dance of the butterflies. A performance just for their love, and Sparker's up next. Oh, I see why you protected for Psylocke now. Ballas might well be that guy. Maluki taken down here, though, by Nevix. Virtus.pro still in control of the point. They have been able to TP back with the officers of Fincy. Nevix next to fall on down. She's got themselves a great angle here. They need to try and chase out the Phoenix spy on the other side, who continues to do so much damage. Ballas managed to move in, get Saipe once again. The healers are constantly being assaulted here by Qadsiah, and they should be able to find a flick.
Even then, like, it's Like, Qadsiah had to work hard there, especially Ballas, to just find the picks and just keep Virtus.pro whittled down, unable to group up as a full 6. But a good portion of time was still bought. I think it was like 40% when we started to see Ballas get those picks. It finished at 80% before Qadsiah could take it back, and now Virtus.pro looking to go in with another Dance of the Butterflies for Sparker. Really feels like it's a case of the Battle of the Psylocks to see who can do more damage to that backline, especially onto the strategists.
Yeah, Ballas almost already having another one as well. Is very impressive damage done for now. Maybe doing a lot of warding away of those Vanguards. Tilt the first pick again. Something's going wrong with the positioning of this Phoenix. They constantly get caught out by Virtus.pro. And that's going to force out the usage here of the Fate of Both Worlds from Lindstrom to make sure that everyone's going to be nice and healthy in towards the back. Maybe a damage boost onto the Beast of the Abyss. Still can't deliver any final blows, it would seem. Sparker elsewhere, I believe, may have forced out the initial ultimate by using that Dance of the Butterfly towards the back. They're not going to try and share it out. Sparker's there just at the right time to find Lindstrom. An alpha strike onto an incredibly vulnerable Lunar Snow in the post-ultimate respite. Sparker might well be chased down here by Kai, but is able to force them out with the damage that's brought forth by the Sonic crossbows. Maluki may be overwhelmed by the pair of divers. Indeed, it's going to be the case of their focus damage is enough to try and deal with this one. Tilt taken down again. Kai doesn't have much HP to play with, and it might well have to be a teleport back here for Qadsiah.
Yeah, not too much to work with. They have got it to 99%, but looking at what the strategists have available, and it all was used up in that engagement. Sparker has been farming up these Dance of the Butterflies so well on this Psylocke, and it's going to be really hard for Qadsiah to get a touch on here to push this to OT.
Has to be the portal, and there it is, straight out onto a point. Lindstrom for now just staying in a safe position, make sure they don't give away too much of their health before they're forced to emerge from the portal. Boy looking towards the back, taking out Saipe certainly would be quite the boon early on in this fight. Some Dalek resilience has been used by both of these squads. Sparker making sure to stack on in, sharing out the damage from the Dance of the Butterflies. The one player you couldn't afford to lose is gone. Lindstrom falls on down, and now Fincy Magnus can just reign imperiously over this zone. And while it was bloody close, in the end, Virtus.pro just have all the clutch factor they need.
And they know where the bread is buttered there too, I think. Like Lindstrom, you sort of mentioned it right there, like it's the worst person to go down. And it's not that it's Lindstrom's fault. We're playing Lunar Snow into this team. They know that they need to be the ones that are fearing for their life. But it's just how good, I suppose, Virtus.pro were in those key engagements to make sure that main strategist was down and making sure that a Fate of Both Worlds isn't able to keep the team alive in those engagements. But in this best of 3, 2-0 up, pretty much match point for Virtus.pro. Qadsiah hoping to go to Hell's Heaven to do a bit of surprising damage on Hell's Heaven. I'd say with that second point, with some of the rollouts and set strategies they had playing off of each other, there's a lot to be excited for with this team. But Virtus.pro just so good at rolling with the punches that it didn't seem to matter in the end.
Here's a good look at our stat cards here. Reminder, I might dive back into the replay after this cast and have a look at the Ballas POV. Homer was quite impressive on the Psylocke, 16-5, by the way, dropping the most final hits on their team. Let's go into some replays. There might be a couple of Ballas there, but I imagine it's going to be mostly Virtus.pro. Hopefully Fincy's double dunk into the invis boundary is up there as well. That was nasty.
Yeah, it feels that like when we do get to see certainly these like matchups of Psylocke versus Psylocke, that they are just on their own little missions, like Tom Scott style, like I'm in the back line with the strategists, just cutting in to see exactly how they're going to work.
Yeah, Ballas really showing off great knowledge of how the Dance of the Butterflies mechanics work on out, and Milkboy exploited there as well to take most of the hits from the Dance of the Butterflies. Great min-maxing here from Sparker. There's a reason why we hyped them up for so long as one of the best of the Psylocks that are available in the world. It feels like in EMEA we've got a good collection of fantastic Psylocke players. When you get forged at the Crucible of Ranked against Sparker, you learn to be a good Psylocke or you learn to uninstall.
You just know how it's done too, and at the very least, like anybody can watch these POVs to see exactly just how a player like that is able to perform. But I think it's pretty much been business as usual for Virtus.pro. I'm not too surprised in the end that they didn't make any roster moves after stage 1 not really going the way that they hoped. It just seems to be that that's the strength. But we do have a third and potentially final map of this series to come up. Qadsiah have it all to fight for. We're going to go for a quick break. We'll be back very, very shortly.
Hello.
Greetings.
You cannot hurt me. I was merciful. Crawl back to your domain, Hela.
In this timeline, the machines will rule.
The doctor has conjured a portal. Ultron is like a plague. We must be the cure. A disappearing act. You are under my spell. Pure chaos!
We are done chasing spiders. We have bigger enemies to conquer. You're ours now. Time to toughen up. We are Venom!
The other guy's been doing a lot of talking for me. You remember old Eddie?
Warmed up and ready to ignite the battle. Virtus Pro 2-0 up against Qadsiah at the moment, but they are not without being tested right now. Qadsiah have certainly put up quite a spirited fight, especially on Hell's Heaven.
Yeah, it just glimmers of like moments, because it seems that this is a team that sort of has taken a little bit from what Virtus Pro have done, of like not really changing up too much, just trying to tighten up some of the play, really not be punished by the same mistakes there. So it has been tight gameplay. It's just a tall order, frankly, I suppose, against a team that has been consistently one of the best in Europe, but also is desperate, I think, to try to make sure that they don't suffer some of the problems that they ran into in Ignite.
Yeah, like, as you said, both of these teams have gone for the kind of mostly stick together and try and tighten up the play level of like in-between season. We've had some real roster mania, North America. And we've had some teams that are like, you know what, I think the ingredients we have are good. We just need to put the dish together a little bit different. I mean, we need to add some salt here, maybe some paprika. Let's head into our bands and see how things are going to shake out here on Central Park, which could be our final map.
If there was a way to ban Human Torch harder, I think Qadsiah would have done it, because you sort of mentioned it before we went in, of like, this is a good map for Human Torch. The problem is that Qadsiah have been taken out instantly, straight away, every single time that we've seen so far this series, and the same with Virtus Pro banning out the Loki.
Yeah, even though Saipe is an incredibly strong Loki, I think that Maluki Lindstrom, they're a very good duo when it comes to the classic Luna Loki, and we often see the Luna be the first protect for Qadsiah, so I don't want to really put that in the hands of Qadsiah, knowing that Virtus Pro, they like to leverage how much flexibility we've got in their backline. We've seen Dredro play a very good Adam so far, where usually it's Spark who picks that up. We know that Saipe's got an incredibly good Invisible Woman as well, but also has the mechanical chops to play a really good Luna, while you could see Dredro flex over to something like a Cloak and Dagger.
Again, the bans have been pretty much exactly the same, and I'm thinking of whether for Qadsiah it's worth it in the end, right? Because it's like, it feels like when it hasn't been working that you would want to effectively change it, right? Like, you don't want to keep going into the same pick ban phase and just hoping that it's going to improve somewhat. But then again, if that's the most optimal pick ban for you to go for and you're still losing, it's good to see in the server exactly where you're going wrong.
All right, going to be no Namor this time when it comes to the protect. Instead, we're going to be reverting back to their Invisible Woman pick. Once again, Psylocke is going to be protected. Will we see the Hulk ban last here for Qadsiah? That has been their go-to. And given that Qadsiah have been playing rather close so far, I don't see a reason why they would change that too much. And they do also want to shut down that Gamma Namor, given that it's a great check on Psylocke. And Balance really seems to be a huge ingredient in their success.
Yeah, maybe it's for Virtus Pro that would have the Namor protected, but here again, because you have at some point in this map, because it is Convergence, it is a hybrid, some movement over on this, but Captain America has been that